When you fall down, you have to get back up. When is it going to happen to me?
It's hard to have patience. I mean, it is. If you really want it bad enough, you cannot skip steps.
Be grateful for what you got.
If you really want to get on that grind and you don't like your job,
I'm still cooking their bacon.
Because you're always going to be wondering, what if?
Damn, I'm only here for one reason and one reason only, though. Patience starts now.
Welcome to Patience the Podcast, episode 5, with your hosts, Donny and SammieG. Tonight we got a special guest named Jonathon Poe in the air. Jonathon is an entrepreneur, financial strategist, and analyst. How are we doing tonight, Jonathon?
Great, Donny. Thank you for asking. How are you doing yourself?
I'm doing well. How things doing in Atlanta these days?
Man, great. Business is amazing. Of course, we're getting busier and busier because everybody's trying to move here. But besides that, it's great. I love it.
Tell us a little bit about where you started.
So my upbringing, pretty much I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, raised for my entire life. Mainly started building my businesses in Atlanta. I started my first business when I was 19. But my upbringing, born in Atlanta, raised in Atlanta. Middle school, high school, wasn't the brightest kid, I'm not going to lie to you. But the one thing I loved about it was no matter what I was going through, I was able to teach myself knowledge, and I was able to teach myself importance, and I was able to teach myself patience as to what I really want to do in my career. I mean, I had a rough upbringing, but I made it work. I didn't make no complaints, no excuses. Everything I want to do in my life, I said I was going to do. For me to only be 20 years old, I taught myself the matters of importance. I taught myself the major factors of life. I also taught myself that I needed patience and I needed to learn how to grow and I needed to learn how to be a better man for myself. But I also wanted to teach myself more about the importance of really what you want to do out of your career. What do you want to make out of yourself? So I had to teach myself a lot of things. The main thing I had to teach myself was, again, I'm going to go back to patience. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of patience. I had to teach myself that. When it came to my upbringing, there was a lot of moments where I just couldn't hold it in. I mean, I wavered away from what I was really trying to do. And I really had to teach myself patience in the long run, growing up to be the age that I am now.
Did you jump right into business, and did you have like a successive amount of business before the electronic business that you were involved in? Tell us a little bit about some of your successes and failures along the way.
Going into the end of high school, I started my first electronic business. This was my first business, of course. It was not successful at all. I jumped right in it, had no knowledge of financial education, no knowledge of exactly how to run a business. I jumped right in, bought a whole bunch of inventory, ended up losing more than I was gaining profit. 2016, I maxed out my credit cards. I was around $10,000 in debt. At this point, I didn't know where else to turn. My credit was in shambles. How am I going to go forward trying to build my business? In the long run, for my electronic business, I ended up having to file for bankruptcy.
Okay.
Now, filing for bankruptcy was probably one of my biggest failures, but also a big lesson learned because I actually learned how to not go into the situation that I got into in the first place. I learned mainly how to avoid situations like that, how to get better with building my business.
So what was that first bit brought you that debt?
My financial literacy business. I've made a substantial amount of income and passive and residual income from my business.
So you advise clients on what kind of financial matters exactly?
Mainly the matters of personal finance, managing your money, a savings goal, knowing how to budget your money, knowing how to leverage your credit to build more income and more passive and residual income. A lot of individuals don't know if you have less than a 700 credit score, you probably can't even go get approved for a new credit card. You probably can't even get approved to try to buy a home. You probably can't even approve to drive a car off the lot. People don't realize, I talk to clients all the time, in particular people that want to improve their credit. They say, hey, I'm looking to buy a home at the end of the year. My credit score is around 550, 600. And I may ask them, what are some of your personal goals that you want to do going forward? And the main thing they always tell me is, well, yeah, I want to buy a home, but I'm not ready to get started. And I advise people to tell them, the sooner you start working on your credit, the sooner you start working on your finances, the sooner you start building what you really want to do towards your near future is the moment you start to see the exact results that you really want to see in your life.
For those of us out there who've been in the credit struggle before, do you have any basic tips, any preliminary tips that might help get some of those people out of the situation they're in and upward in the right direction in terms of credit score momentum?
Of course. The main thing I'll always tell people is once they get into a lot of credit card debt or they get into a lot of debt period when it comes to the credit, they're so quick, hey, I'm going to go file for bankruptcy. There's so many other options rather than just filing for bankruptcy. You can start getting secure cards, okay? Only utilizing 30% of your credit limit. Therefore, credit bureaus see that you're not high risk. You're not trying to put too much money on your credit cards. Therefore, you're focusing more on building credit, and you don't really need the credit card to begin with. A lot of people, they also say, hey, yeah, man, well, my credit score got disrupted by this past debt that I owe, and I don't know how I'm going to pay this debt back. Call the creditors. Come to a settlement with whatever kind of conclusion you feel like you can afford. You come to a settlement 9 times out of 10, creditors are going to work with you because they see that you're trying to pay down your debt. They see that you're trying to move forward with your building your credit. They're trying to see exactly what it is, how you want to handle going into your future endeavors, because they want to know that, okay, this person's trying to handle their debt. They're not trying to go into the bankruptcy stage. They're not trying to have a credit score below 600, because bankruptcy is the worst thing that can happen to your credit, which a lot of people don't realize. Another thing I really, really advise people to do when trying to build their credit or get out of debt that they may owe from a lot of the creditors is also always, and this is very important, have patience, but also take action. Because if you don't take action, you can also have patience, but creditors can continually come in after you. They can garnish your wages. They can also put judgments on you to try to collect what you owe them. So it's very important that you follow up exactly what you owe when it comes to your creditors, because if you don't follow up and you just ignore debt, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse.
I have noticed that. I've actually experienced situations where I've talked to lawyers, and they advised, many people in bankruptcy lawyers in particular, how if you're really not in a mountain of debt, if you're not in the whole more than 5, 10, 25K, it really isn't much benefit to filing a Chapter 11 or 13. Sam, have you ever had credit issues, growing up in your young life?
No, not anything to the extent of that. I mean, just simple stuff like, being late on a credit card payment. But at the same time, I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're starting things out, you got credit cards for a reason. And I think credit cards are kind of designed to put you in debt, but you got to be smart about it. I think you definitely got to be smart about how you're using your credit, what you're using it for. And I think if you're not really using it to make more money, then you're really it's just I forgot the guy's name, but it's like, if you don't have that money to go buy it, then you probably shouldn't be using that credit card right now. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have that money in the bank account. And then they also say, I believe it was Jay-Z, if you can't buy it 3 times, then you don't have enough money to buy it. A lot of people are living above their means. They go out to the bar and they use their credit card. They get fucked up and they cash out the card, call the credit card company, say that their credit card got stolen. And just like Jonathan is saying, I mean, if anything, you can always give them a call. They always are happy to take your money. So, you just set up a settlement and you can always get anything taken care of, and they end up taking a few $100s off. It's almost like it never happened, and you're able to get that off your back.
I'm sure you're familiar with the concept, Jonathan, of one, obviously talking to the creditors, like Sam mentioned. A lot of the times you could just really, if you're just proactive and you pick up the phone and you say, hey, I missed a payment, this is what's going on, X, Y, and Z happened. They're very willing to work with you. And a lot of the times most people are like, oh my God, I'm in this amount of debt, and and they're just racking up interest charges, and they've got 25% APRs, and they're just really so worried about just picking up the phone and calling. And that really does help a lot. And just telling them, this is what happened, I'd like to pay it off. They really warm up pretty well to that. Jonathan, I'm sure you also know about the concept of good credit and bad credit, and good debt and bad debt. Can you expound a little bit more on that and give some of our listeners some insight into how is it possible that debt can be a good thing and a bad thing?
When I filed for bankruptcy, it was a big lesson learned to me, Donny. I mean, it was just a mind opener, wow, now I know what not to do. Now I know how to avoid the road that I went down. Gain the knowledge to know how to build my credit. Gain the knowledge to know how to leverage my credit to make over 6 figures. The main thing that I always see a lot of people do that have good credit, they may have, say for example, one of my mentors, she has an 800 credit score. What she does is, her credit limit is probably $20,000. She only uses $1,000, $2,000 a month. And that's not barely even 10% of her credit limit. If she's paying on that every month, she's hardly even using close to her credit limit. Credit card companies see you as, hey, well, they don't mind spending this money, so hey, we're just going to increase your credit limit. History of revolving credit. If you have a longer history of revolving credit, you'll always be creditors will look at you like, wow, they're not a high risk. I'm more willing to give them more of the money, rather than somebody with bad credit who may come and say, wow, well, look at this person. They're still making late payments. They're still not being consistent when it comes to their credit card debt. They're still not trying to handle their bad credit in the first place. They're just trying to move forward, and they're not really trying to take action on paying more attention and getting their bad credit back to a positive status.
What are some of your other areas of expertise that you like to advise your clients on? Are there specific areas that you really feel like you make a lot of progress with, or you seem to get a lot of demand for in your field?
So a lot of people just jump into businesses like I did, had no knowledge of how to run the business, and they just jumped in and just dived right in. And they either messed up their credit, lost a lot of money in profits that they could have made if they had the knowledge before they started. Overall, they just didn't know how to proceed with their business, and they just didn't know what next step to take. It's always better to prepare yourself before you launch a brand new business. Therefore, you can learn more, and you can actually make profit rather than losing as soon as you start the business.
So you said drop shipping. I know there's people listening out there and they're thinking, what the heck is drop shipping? There's probably a window of time that drop shipping has before most people won't be able to get involved. But for those that are still interested, could you enlighten them a little bit about what drop shipping is, what it entails, what it means, how Amazon is doing it, and how you could get involved?
So the main thing I learned about drop shipping from one of my friends, her name is Lala J. Fisher. She's a network marketer as well, and she's made over 6 figures well in drop shipping alone. You selling the product that a vendor owns, you have your own online store, and you're selling it through the vendors, and they're shipping it straight to the buyer. So for most drop shippers have a Shopify store. Shopify, if you start drop shipping, you launch your Shopify store. Of course, you have to have a business license, and you have to have access to invoices to even start drop shipping. But once you have access to those two, you can pretty much launch your online store. Once you launch your online store, the next step of that is getting vendors. You have to contact vendors. But if you have your business license, you have your invoices, it's a very successful business to get into. But you also have to have the knowledge of dropshipping, because I've known a lot of people that started the dropshipping business and they didn't really know exactly what they needed to know to be successful in the business. And either the store got closed down because they weren't following the right compliances and rules and regulations, or they lost a lot of profit as well. Like I mentioned before, if you're starting just any other business, there are pros and cons to every business, but you have to know exactly what you have to do to avoid the cons and reap the rewards from the pros.
So the basic concept of drop shipping, for those of us who've never done it before, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, the idea of basically buying directly from a wholesaler, having it directly shipped to the person purchasing the product. So there's no middleman, there's no storage fee. It's just going directly from manufacturer to customer.
You are the middleman, pretty much.
You are the middleman, exactly.
Right. There you go. Do you think in 2019 there is a lot more competition? Do you think that you would recommend people to start a dropshipping business in 2019 at this point, or has it become, in your opinion, less profitable because the competition has become so high over the last few years of people being exposed to it more and more and more, and companies like Amazon being involved in basically the same thing?
When it comes to Amazon, of course, they're the bread and butter dropshipper. I mean, they're killing the game. They have so many vendors, so many manufacturers worldwide, to where it's just, they even have one day shipping out. You can live halfway across the state, or even not even far from where the manufacturers actually live and where they're shipping their products from. Drop shipping is really, really profitable business. And I'm going to tell you right now, Donny, I think it's best for people to get into it now, because, and like you said, in the next year or two, as drop shipping is going to be at the point to where so many people are doing it and so many people are actually making profit from the business, they're just going to be beating all the other people trying to get in. I'm just now trying to go into start my dropshipping business. Thank God I have somebody who has the knowledge who can teach me more about dropshipping as I need to know before I just jump right in. Because, of course, like I mentioned, if you don't have any knowledge about a business or what the requirements are or exactly how it is to be successful in the business, you're going to struggle almost every time. I mean, you can be positive. You can have the mindset. You have the motivational mindset. But if you don't have the knowledge to know what you need to know about dropshipping, you can lose profit just as quick as you can, jump right into the business, putting your money in. But the one thing I will say I love about dropshipping is you do not have to have a lot of money up front for dropshipping. I mean, some of the products are incredibly cheap. I've seen people turn $5, $6, $10 items and end up making over 5 figures. And I mean like a month, 2 months time. It's possible.
So, I mean, the basic idea is you really want to find a product that you think will sell well, that has a high margin of profit, and that you think you can market and advertise for. Do you, find a lot of success in a particular kind of product, a particular demographic, something specific that you found in dropshipping that you feel like would, really give people an edge in this highly competitive market?
One thing I will say is fashion. Of course, when it comes to dropshipping, the majority of the products are either dealing with either fashion, it's either dealing with clothes, it could be dealing with hardware, it could be dealing with almost any supplier. But a lot of people I've noticed are actually getting into dropshipping because of fashion. A lot of people want to be models these days. They want to be the next big model. They want to be the next big fashion runway. They just want to participate in a lot of things when it comes to fashion. I mean, look at Virgil Abloh. He launched Off-White, and the thing just took off. And now people are buying shoes that look like regular Air Force Ones for like $6,000. It's about how you market the product. Marketing is very important. It's very priority. You can have a product that doesn't even look the best, but if you market it correctly and if you know exactly what you need to expose that business, it can be successful every time, which is one reason I think dropshipping is so profitable, because people market it correctly. The product cannot even be the best quality, but if you market your product correctly and if you know a lot about the business and the item that you're selling, you can be very successful when it comes to it.
To all the listeners and the audience out there, just remember, life isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. Someone's not going to be a great fucking drop shipper, man. So, like, you know what I'm saying? You do got to put the time in. You got to have patience. But I think what's even more important than all of that, these are all great avenues and things that we are providing for you guys to get up off your ass and to do something and go make some money, and to be in a better place financially. But you definitely, need to be self-aware and know what you're good at. If you don't know if you're good at something like this, then you probably aren't. This is for people who can really fucking do this shit and like take a swing at it and, hit a home run. Or at least get to second base, first base, third base, whatever. It's all going to take time. But, we're not, I don't want any of the audience to think that we're throwing these things out there to you guys to go ahead and just go jump on it, and do it, because you guys really need to follow what your passion is. These are one of the things that Jonathon does that has helped him out, and he's finding stuff that this is something that he's good at, you guys. So you guys got to find something that you're good at. And, just like he said, he's working on the wisdom and the knowledge to learning what it's all about. And that's what's most important too. Go out and learn and study and get to know what something is about before diving head in first. And then also know that this is something that you like to do, something that you want to do, so that when the failure comes, because they're going to come, that you have the patience and the humility, and you still have the ambition, and you can stay strong through a time of maybe not making as much money as you thought you were going to make because you were listening to the podcast. And, Jay just said you can make $10 and make 5 figures. You got to find what's for you. You know what I'm saying? And if there's anything that you can take out of these podcasts and take from today's episode as well, is we got people that are finding what they're passionate about, that are having mistakes, and that are willing to grow and learn and have the patience to continue to control their future.
Everybody's road to success is different. Just because you take longer than others doesn't mean what you're trying to do and what you're trying to manifest with your dreams is not going to happen. Everybody has their time. No matter how much work you put in, one thing I always say, and everybody's religion is different. One thing I always say is everything happens on God's timing. It's not going to happen in your timing. You can put as much work as you want, but if God knows it's not meant for you at that moment, it won't happen. Just like if you launch your first business, you can have good knowledge, you cannot have good knowledge, but it's going to happen on God's time. You cannot rush God's time. And I try to tell people that all the time. They just want to get it the next day, or they feel like, man, what I'm doing in my life, I'm just not where I want to be. I'm just not where I'm trying to be in my life right now. Trust the process, have patience, and just trust God, because everything's going to come to you in due time, whenever He knows you're ready.
We've definitely all got gifts. It sounds like you found a lot of success in what you're doing there with the financial advising and strategy and other areas. What do you think are some of the skills that, you've been able to really find out about yourself, Jonathon?
And how did you find out these things? Because we got people listening right now, they don't fucking know how to find out these things. They're just working their 9-to-5 job because it's the best paying job. So how am I gonna figure out what I'm good at? I work a 9-to-5 and I'm barely getting by to pay my bills and buy my liquor on the weekends. So how am I gonna figure out what I like to do?
A lot of people, they be working a 9-to-5 for a long time. They're in their comfort zone. One thing I always say is, for you to actually grow and strive to be the best potential that you can be, you have to get out of your comfort zone. People are always so complacent with where they're at in their lives, and they never get out of their comfort zone, which is why a lot of people work and they retire to their 60, 65 years old. You have to find the skills, and you have to know what you're good at. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses and fail at all of them. But as long as you learn from what you're failing at, and you actually find what you're trying to be in your life, and you actually find what you're good at, once you find what you're good at, you're going to succeed every time. Because if you find what you're good at, you can duplicate it, and therefore you can make more progress and learn more over time. First step is it starts with you. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to take action on what you're trying to do. You have to manifest your dreams. You have to go out there and make it happen. If you don't do that, you're going to be stuck exactly where you're at, complaining about, man, I'm in the same position I was in last year. The only reason you're in that same position you're in last year because you didn't take action. You didn't manifest what you were trying to do. You didn't put action behind it. You didn't actually try to go out there and pursue your dreams. So therefore, people get complacent where they're at in their life, and they don't know what they're good at. They're so busy trying to complain, blaming on other people, and they don't really know what they're good at.
If you could put a playbook together and say, you know what, this is going out to everybody out there with a 9-to-5 that they can't stand, they want to get out of desperately, but they just don't know where to begin. Give some of those people a roadmap as to how Jonathon went ahead and said, this is the step you have to go through, this is the process. What's your greatest takeaway from what that initial first leap would take from a person to really just go and try to discover that unique gift that they have, that thing that they might not necessarily think they're good at? Like, what's some advice you can give to those people who are just, you know what, they're afraid. Like, they're not ready to take this step. They don't know where to start. They're really hesitant. How do you advise them on just going for something and picking a thing that might be a little bit more suitable for them when they really don't even know where to start?
Leap of faith. A lot of people, it takes for them to be backed into the corner on their last leg for them to just take that leap of faith and just go out and manifest their dreams and start putting action into it. Myself, I took my leap of faith when I knew that I didn't want to keep settling for less. I didn't want to become complacent. I didn't want to stay somewhere my entire life or jump to multiple places my entire life and help somebody else build their dreams. And then me, toward the end of my career, just saying, okay, I'm done. I'm going to retire when I'm 60 and just be done with my life. I was an electronic engineer. I even have a degree. I graduated, but no fun to anybody that has degrees or has a job. One thing I will say is a lot of people take the leap of faith once they're in they're back in the corner. And then once they feel like they're back into the corner, it's time for me to go see what I'm good at. It's time for me to go find exactly really what I want to do in my life. A lot of people don't start to do that until they're pretty much just like they're on their last leg. They don't know how to move forward. And I'll be honest, that's when people become their best potential of themselves. When they're backed into a corner, they have no other options. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to move forward. They don't know what to do next. So a lot of people that I've learned that became the best potential of themselves, it happened when they was on their last leg and they just couldn't take it anymore. That's when you actually find the beast and the savage within yourself and you start to manifest your dreams. I want to change my life. I'm going to take action. I'm going to manifest my dreams. I'm going to make it happen. That's when I've seen the best versions of people come out.
If there's something that you want to do and you don't know necessarily if you can take that leap of faith because you got kids or you're married or you got to pay this car note because you decided to get that new car a year ago, 2 years ago, or you got to pay this apartment, or the house note or whatever. We all got bills, so you can't necessarily leave that job. I recommend start off small. So you need to start doing something where if you're, like I have a friend, she does, I'll probably get her on too soon to explain what she does, but it's pretty much like organic, products that she uses to clean the face and, things of that nature because they use a lot of harmful substances in our soap and in our facial, things like that. She's created her own organic stuff that she goes out, she buys, she makes at home, and of course she works her 9-to-5 job. You go out and you sell to your friends, you sell to your family, you go sell to some strangers, sell to some coworkers. You try to make a little bit of money off that and you go and taste how that feels. You know what I'm saying? You try to continue to move in that direction and, it starts off, you're making $10 here, $50 there, then a few hundred, then another, 500, then you're at 1,000. Now you just replace your job. Exactly. And you gotta have patience, but you gotta, start somewhere. Don't let the opinions of others cripple you. Don't think that just because you're not making the $1 million or 100,000 or a couple thousand that you would want to make from it, Just because you're not making that in a few months or even a year or even 2 years, don't think that's going to be what it's going to be. You know, so you definitely want to move into the direction by just getting a little bit, you know, and being grateful, being happy that, oh shit, okay, I sold one. You know, you got to remember that this was just an idea that was in your head. It was just a vision that you had, you know. So if you're able to make a thought a reality, you know, whether how small or how big it is, then just know that you can do anything. You know, it says in the Bible, those who has the faith of a mustard seed can move mountains, can say to the mountain to move, and it will move. And I really believe that. You know, you got to have faith, and you got to truly, truly, truly believe. Anybody can look at something and see, he's getting money from that, so I'm going to do it, and then want to do it. But it takes a lot of faith and a lot of courage to do something where you don't know if you're going to make any money out of it. You don't know if you're successful at it. You know, and that is where your true happiness is going to come from. And that's where true leaders and successful people that actually change the world go out and do. They do something people have never done before. They think of things people have never thought before, and they act on it. And they don't know what it's going to do. They don't know how many people it's going to affect, who it's going to affect, and they don't know how much of an impact they will have. Have faith, start off small. Whatever it is you're trying to do, if you're trying to grow your own business and trying to, you know, leave your 9 to 5, the first thing is you have to be making money. You know, it doesn't matter if it's $1 a day. It doesn't matter if it's a couple cents, $5, $10, $30 a month, $100 a month. It doesn't matter. As long as you're making money, that's a business. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Sam won his taxes from that. So you just need to make some money, and that's a business for you, period. If you're talking about it and not making money, then it's just going to be a dream forever.
There's the making money part, and we were talking about how everyone's worried about what other people think. I know people are going to hate to hear this, but this is something that people really need to hear. I was all about buying a new car. I was all about getting that fresh new feel of a car. Most Americans, or most people in the world probably, really, really, really love the feeling of that new thing. A new car is the biggest, dumbest liability you could possibly invest in, because the moment you buy that car, you are locked in to lose 30% within 3 years. If I were to tell you you're going to buy a house and you're going to lose 30% of the value of the house within 3 years, you'd fucking punch me in the face and be like, fuck your house, I'm not buying it. But everybody wants that new car. Everybody wants that feeling of I work hard, and I fell victim to this too. But I'll tell you, when you work hard and you save, that's half of it. If you go ahead and just spend that money now on a new car or an asset, you know, that appreciates is what you want to do. But if you spend it on a liability, you're going to lose money. So don't spend your money on a liability like a brand new car. Spend your money on an asset that grows, that starts to pay you dividends. The moment you buy a car, that becomes a liability, because in 3 years' time, you're going to automatically, no matter what you do with the car, you could never drive it. Sit in the driveway for 3 years, it loses 30%. So do not invest in liabilities. Invest in assets.
As soon as you drive a car off the lot, it already depreciates. It loses its value. The main thing and the most important thing you can ever invest your money in, or leverage your credit to invest your money in, is property, real estate. I'd rather make not that much money and be happy in doing what I'm doing rather than making a lot of money and not happy in what I'm doing. As long as I'm still not having to wake up to an alarm clock every morning and go do what it is I want to do and be happy doing it, whether I'm making a lot of money or not, it does not matter, because I'm living my dream. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I'm not complacent. I'm moving forward. I'm actually trying to invest in something that's going to build me more income, and I'm actually happy doing it. I'm not just throwing money into something to where I really don't even care about what I'm investing in. Assets are very, very big. You cannot be financially free until you find a way to make money in your sleep.
I think that's the American dream 2.0 in the 21st century. Is we've all been told exactly how it's supposed to be, you know, own the 2 cars. But I think honestly, happiness is like capitalism 2.0. I think really doing what you do at your gift, like trying to like really take a little bit of risk. And that's the paradox of like taking a risk, like leaving your job and saving up some money and then going to chase what you're really about and what your real gift is. Well, this is risky, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. You're taking that leap and you're not sure what's going to happen. You might not find it in your mind. But that is the paradox of taking that risk and really just trusting the process and letting yourself discover what it is you're best at, because I think a lot of people don't know what they're the best at.
Right.
And a lot of people are willing to make more money as opposed to be happier, and then their productivity starts to decline over time, and then retirement becomes the goal. And then before they realize it, they've got all these assets, which is a great investment, but they forgot to incorporate what makes them happy.
Exactly.
And pass on a legacy to their kids about what they love to do. Might not have been the most 20th century prestigious thing to do, but they actually had a bigger impact because they were more concerned about finding out who they were and what they're really good at. So I know Sam, as an aspiring entrepreneur musician, has definitely had to go with that journey at a very young age. And you've had to go that journey at a different time of your life. So it's different for everybody. But if you skip and you just don't decide you're going to find that out about yourself, you're really leaving a lot of risk on the table, because by the time you hit 50 years old and you realize you've been just doing the thing that pays you the most, and then you're not so satisfied with your life, and you can't be that good of a husband or a spouse, you can't be as present as a parent or a father or a mother. And I think mothers often have an easier time with this because the guys in our society and most of the world are expected to work until they're dead.
Right.
And they could explore their opportunities a little bit more. But for guys out there who feel like the pressure that they're not allowed to really leave their job that pays them well, that their parents are proud of. We have a presidential candidate that's running, that's on a debate tonight out of a field of 20 Democrats that are going to be on the debate stages today and tomorrow, that left his job as a lawyer after 5 months. Andrew Yang is what I'm talking about. And he decided, you know what, I'm going to leave all that behind, and I'm going to go and start the biggest education venture entrepreneur business in the country. And his parents did lie and say, you know what, he's a lawyer for the next 2 years while he was pursuing this entrepreneurial venture. So it really does take a leap of faith.
Anyone who's ever made it didn't doubt themselves. Maybe they did in the beginning at first when they thought about it. But if they made it, they don't doubt themselves. Those who haven't made it started to doubt themselves. Those who didn't make it stopped believing. So you gotta believe, and you gotta have patience, and you have to know. I think we talk a lot about action, we talk a lot about patience, but you gotta know it's your mindset. There has to be a switch. You gotta be a fucking animal. You gotta be a winner. A winner. A winner is a winner. I can't lose because I'm a winner. You know what I'm saying? And if your mindset is backwards, if you think negative thoughts, if you think that, I can't do it, or maybe I'm going to try to do it, or, if you're timid, then guess what? The world is going to give you that timid, shy shit, that maybe half-ass shit right back to you. Maybe you're going to do it. Well, guess what? The world says maybe you will too. You know what I'm saying? So if you're doing it and you can do it and you're on your way, then guess what? The world's going to say you are doing it, you're on your way, and you will make it. You are making it. And that's some of the best advice I can give anybody is turn that switch on. Turn the switch on, turn the old switch off, reprogram your mind, and know that I'm a fucking winner. You got to win. That's the only way you're going to make it. That's the only way you're going to build your fucking credit score up. You're not going to build your credit score up by saying, well, maybe I'm going to pay the debt collectors back. You're not maybe going to do shit. It's either I am going to fucking get my credit score back. I am going to pay those debt, those debt collectors. I am going to start this business and it's going to be a success. It will be a success. Not, I was thinking about doing this business. I was thinking, no, you got to fucking do it. And I think that is what people lack. And that's why they never make it. That's why everything they try, they quit. Everything they do, they end up quitting because they have a quitter's mindset. And when it goes and gets tough, they run. When it goes and gets tough, they quit. And guess what? Life isn't easy. Life isn't fair. But I promise you, if you stay the course and you go hard at it and you stay focused and you stay dedicated, then you will be sitting on the top of the mountain. And I think a lot of people think that another person's success or happiness takes away from their own, which it does not. And that's another thing you guys got to learn, all my audience and viewers listening out there. No one's happiness or success will take away from you. So stop focusing on what someone else is doing and focus on what you're doing. And what you do doesn't take away from anyone else. There is enough to go around. We're literally passing around $1. That's a whole nother discussion to talk about, but it's literally $1. That's it. Yeah, people got more, people have less, but essentially we're all trading. We're all trading time. We're all trading the same dollar. And you have to essentially just know inside your heart and every bone and every muscle and in every cell, you have to talk to every cell. You have to talk to your entire being. You have to talk to the world, and you have to declare that this is who you are. This is what I'm going to do, and nothing is going to stand in my way. And if something stands in my way, I'm going to push that shit to the side. If something tries to stop me, I'm going to laugh it off. I'm going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to hit the brakes. If my tire blows out, I'm going to put a spare on. If I can't get a spare, I'm going to tow it. If I can't get a tow truck, I'm going to walk. If I can't walk, I'm going to crawl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to, there's just no option. So we got to retrain our mindset to literally bring the best out of ourselves out. And you too can be living like Jonathon, you too can be living like Donny D, you too can be living like Sammie G, and you can be chasing your dream and living the life that you want to live and be fulfilled by happiness and all those other things like financial freedom and cars and women and, guys for the women out there and, nice things. All that shit's gonna come as you change your mindset.
Jonathon, we really appreciate you. Do you have any last words for anybody that wants to get involved with what you're doing? Do you have socials they can reach out to? What's the best way they can get involved in some financial literacy, Jonathon Poe style?
Thank you so much for having me on, Donny and Sammie. I really appreciate you guys. It's been amazing talking to you guys. I appreciate everything you guys have instilled in me, the wisdom, the knowledge, the leadership. You guys are way beyond your years, and I appreciate everything you guys brought into me tonight. They can reach me on my Instagram, which is JPoe the Entrepreneur. Shoot me a message if you want more details about financial literacy. If you want more details about improving your credit score. If you just want more information about trying to launch your first business, if you have any more questions about what I do, you can find me on Instagram at JPoe the Entrepreneur. My Facebook is Jonathon Poe, and my Twitter is Jonathon Poe as well. I don't really use Twitter that much. Instagram and Facebook is probably the best way to reach me. I am in the Atlanta area, so if you are in Atlanta, connect with me if you want. I can also teach you when it comes to trying to build your business, trying to grow your business. If you want to go into network marketing, how can you market yourself?
Just want to go ahead and tell you guys, you can find all of Jonathon's information. It will be in the description links. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it will be down below. It will be in the bio. If you're listening on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other of the streaming services that we stream the podcast. My spiel, as always, is, have the patience, have the wisdom, have the ambition, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes courage to find your passion, to do something that you love. And you know what? Maybe you've been thinking about it. Maybe you've been pondering it. Maybe you've just been feeling like, I got to do something else. I'm not happy with this 9 to 5. Now is the time. Right now. Now is the time for you to turn off this podcast, for you to get to work, for you to take action, for you to do every single thing you were meant to do. You know what, guys? I know you know this already, but maybe you don't. You're going to die. You know what? You're going to fucking die. You don't live forever. You don't. I'm sorry to tell you that you don't live forever. And you know what? You're not coming back here. So you got to do every single thing that you can right now. Give it all you got, so that when that final whistle is blown, when the final bell goes off, that there wasn't one single thing that you could have done more. There isn't a single thing that you could have said. There isn't a single sight that you could have saw. That you did everything that you were meant to do. And you know what? This is only for the leaders. This is only for the winners. So you know what? If you're a loser, this ain't gonna get to you. But if you're a winner and you made it this far in the podcast, then I already have faith and I believe in you. So now you just gotta go out there and believe in yourself. And remember, patience, patience, patience. It will happen. It's gonna happen. It must happen. I won't let it not happen.
Please reach out to Jonathon on his social media, on his emails at PatienceThePodcast@gmail.com, PatienceDonnyD@gmail.com, PatienceSammieG, Sammie Jesus at IG, MYWUmanagement at Instagram, MYWUmanagement, that's MYWUmanagement. This concludes episode 5 of Patience the Podcast. We really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We hope you took a little bit away from financial literacy, drop shipping, and just going after what it is that you think you're afraid of going after, because life is short and you're not going to get a lot of shots to really chase what you want to in life. So make a plan, get serious about what your gifts are. We'll see you guys in episode 6.
Peace out, guys.
Champagne faded. I got hiccups now. I probably die the same, though. Last night I woke up.